Item 5, Mr. Mavuso, if you can briefly introduce the item and directors in terms of who is going to be presenting the submission to the committee. Over to you, Mr. Mavuso.
This submission is going to be presented by Kabelo. Just to point out, Chair, that this is an application for an amendment between two entities, which are PowerX and then Umfolozi Sugar Mill. And the technology that is referred here, Chair, is what they call core generation, which is electricity produced from fiber out of sugar production, which is burnt, and then steam from that is burnt in the boilers is turned into electricity. That's, Chair, by the way, that's the background that I come from. And the legal analysis, we find it at 4.54, and this is a 5-year purchase agreement which expired in 31st May 2023, is being extended for further 3 years. Kabelo, you can take over, please.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, Chair, members and colleagues. The purpose of the submission is to request the Regulator Executive Committee to approve the amendment of Schedule 2 of Umfolozi Generation License. This application is duly delegated to the REC for approval. Umfolozi submitted an application to NESA for amendment of Schedule 2 of its generation license to reflect the amended PPA term between Umfolozi and PowerX. Umfolozi had a 5-year power purchase agreement with PowerX, which expired in 31st May 2023. This has led Umfolozi to successfully renegotiate a PPA term extension with PowerX, which will expire 31 May 2026. The PPA analysis is detailed in the draft RFD attached as Appendix A. It is requested the REC to approve the recommendation on Section 13 of the submission on page 8. Thank you.
Thanks very much, ma'am. Members, are there any questions or issues of clarity in relation to this particular submission? If you do have, let me recognize you by raising a hand. Ms. Hutting, I do not see any hand from members, and I then take it that the submission is clear to everyone. There are no issues. Is there any other hand that I may be missing?
Chairperson, just a hand now from Mr. Mkhize.
Okay, all right, Mr. Mkhize, you may come in, sir. Thanks.
Just to be sure, thanks to the presenters and thanks, Chair. Just to be sure, the only thing is happening here is the extension in terms of the years. If that is, if maybe I read this correctly, just want to check if there's something else that has escaped my eyes. Just want the confirmation. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other hand?
No, Chairperson.
I don't see any hand. You may respond to the point for clarity, Kabelo.
Yes, Chairperson, is the extension of the years. The 5 years has elapsed, so they extended with 3 years.
Okay, thank you. We will then go to the recommendations if there is no other hand. The recommendations are on P8, the green stamped PH, paragraph 13. And the
sorry, the Chairperson, just wanted to check, because if is that the case, are we to approve or to not? Just want to confirm that, please.
Okay. Kabelo, do you want to give any clarity? Kabelo, do you want to come in?
Okay, thank you. I think I should read the recommendation. Okay, let me read out the recommendation. Okay.
Not the recommendation. There's a further point of clarity that is sought by Mr. Mkhize to say that if the response is that this particular submission, it's merely to extend the contractual relationship between the two parties, do we have to approve it or do we have to note it? But I think legal can come in, because if an essential term of a contract is changed, which is from 5 years, or it's extended to a new term, they can come and also guide in terms of whether that constitutes a new contract that needs to be approved or it's not, and we should be noting. I think that's the question that Mr. Mkhize was asking. If you can come on to that, then we will then go to the recommendation. So we had to stop considering the recommendation just to give Mr. Mkhize that further clarity. You may come in, Kabelo.
Chairperson, apologies. I see Ms. Maseti's hand is up as well.
Ms. Maseti, you may come in. Kabelo, you'll respond after Ms. Maseti, because I also see Mr. Mo's hand is up. You may come in, Ms. Maseti.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, mine was just to point out that paragraph 3 of the submission, in terms of the delegation of authority, the kind of a decision that is required from the REC for matters where a license is amended, is the approval of the REC is on paragraph 3 of the submission. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Kabelo, you may respond to the point of clarity sought by Mr. Mkhize.
Okay, I'll ask Mr. Khumalo to assist.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, members. The approval that we are seeking from the REC is to note the PPA and also approve the tariff, the WEB's tariff that they've agreed between the two parties. Thank you.
Thanks. Mr. Mkhize, are you covered?
I'm not so clear. I understand what is written. All I'm asking is, are we supposed to approve this? That is all, or supposed to note? And there was an issue of also the bilaterals when it comes to the prices or the tariffs. I just want to get clarity now. It's even confusing because I was just thinking that this was only the extension part and then we're noting the pricing. But now it seems like the approval now is applying even to the price. So maybe Mr. Kumede will assist because I can see his hand is up. Thank you.
I think also, Mr. Khumalo, there's more confusion because in the recommendation we're saying we're noting the pricing. Mr.
It's Mr. Kumede.
Mr. Kumede, you may come in, sir.
Thanks, Chairperson. Good morning to you. Good morning to members and colleagues. Chair, in respect of bilateral contracts or bilaterals, the regulator does not have a purview in terms of the tariff. All we can do is note it. But what we have control on is the license as well as the schedules, as the other schedules, including the addition and deletion of customers, but also extension of like, for instance, in this particular case, the actual amendment. We have a purview in terms of us having to approve that the PPA or the contract between the parties be extended, not the terms, because we are not party to the negotiations of those terms, which are actually in the PPA itself, which includes the price. So in this particular case, what is here before us is for us to approve the amendment, which reflects an additional 3 years. That is on the license side. But in respect of the tariff, all we can do is note it. which is exactly how it is captured. So the actual purpose is it captures the essence of what the team was asking, which is that to approve the amendment in terms of Schedule 2. We note the PPA. Well, we note the PPA and actually approve the extension, and we note the tariff, and then of course approve the draft RFDs. That's what is before us, Chair. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. Mr. Mkhize, are you answered?
I'm covered. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Mr. Comete and the team. We'll then move on to the recommendations that are in paragraph or page 8, the green stamped page 8, paragraph 13. And the recommendation is that the REC is requested to approve the amendment of Schedule 2 of the generation license to reflect the PPA between PowerX and USM, and secondly, to note the amended power purchase agreement between PowerX and USM, and also to note the amended tariff in the PPA between the two parties, which is USM and PowerX, and to approve the draft reasons, the draft decision and the reasons for decision, which are attached as Appendix A. On that note, members, by show of hand, can I get an indication that you do support the approval before? As recommended. Thank you, Ms. Maseti, Mr. Komete, and Mr. Mkhize, and I do support the approval. We'll move on to the next item on our agenda, which is item 6. Mr. Mabuso.
Yes, Chair, this one is Mkhize will present it, but we have been here before, Chair, in terms of these extensions because of the particular reason that has been explained here, which is the late appointment of external auditors, and which then create more extension in terms of the information that we want. But can you just maybe present the submission, please? Thanks.
Yes, thank you, Chairperson, and good morning. As the EMS indicated, this is a request by ESCOM once again to for the extension to submit the RFRs within 2 months after they have announced their audited financials. We had received this extension in July, on the 11th of July. So the main reason why they are requesting this extension is what they is mostly indicated that the RFRs are dependent on the audited financials. So when the audited financials are not finalized, then it will affect the timelines in terms of submitting them in line with the requirements of the RRM. So the finalization of the audit, that is the main reason. That is why they are not able to submit the RFRs within 4 months after the end of their financial year. They are also indicating that this will also affect the requirement to submit their 6 months report, which imply that the 6 months will also have to be submitted beyond the time that has been stipulated. So therefore, the request, Chairperson, is to submit the RFRs within 2 months after the finalization of audit, and the audit is envisaged to be finalized in August, which implies that the reports will be submitted in the month of November. That is the full year report, and the 6 months report will then be submitted in the month of January. Thank you, Chairperson. The recommendations are in page 4 of 5. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ntakeni. Thank you very much, Mr. Ntakeni. Members, any questions or issues of clarity on the request from ESCOM? I see that this shortly your hand is up. I take it you want to add on what Ms. Ntakeni has presented. If so, you may come in, sir.
Yeah, Chair. Yes, thank you and good morning to yourself and other members and colleagues. Chairperson, just to state so that you don't think we don't see it as though this is a recurrence of the same request every year. I just want members to note that IRA is already reviewing the RRMs, and one of the things that we are looking at is to change this requirement, because it's clear it cannot be 2 months after the financial year or 4 months after the financial year, but obviously there is a dependency, which is the audit. So we'll be coming with that, RA will be coming with that review, and then maybe this thing will die because it becomes now an annual occurrence. I just wanted that to be noted, Chair. Thanks.
Thank you. Members, any issues of clarity? Maybe from my side, I just want to understand whether this request would it not have an impact on the other regulatory processes that you need to undertake in terms of the ESCOM and tariff application for, or rather revenue application for the next financial year, considering that we are currently working on the new methodology. If you can just clarify that for me, that is it shortly.
Okay, Chair, let me give it a bite, but maybe Tilly will then add on. Chairperson, the affected thing in really it would be the RCA, but also the RCA itself also depends on the audit. So the effect will be very small. So we can still continue with RCA, because RCA itself is a lagging process. It's not a forward-looking process. So this matter will not really very negatively affect it. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thanks. Mr. Ntageni, you covered, I take it.
Yes, I'm covered.
Okay, then I will then request members, if there are no other hands, I don't see any from members, that we go to recommendations. They are on the green stamped page 4, and it's paragraph 13. And members of the REC are requested to approve the request for the extension to submit the RFRs within 2 months of the announcement and publication of the audited AFS, which will be during the month of November 2023. And the REC members are also requested to approve the extension to submit the 6 months RFRs, which will then be due in January 2014. By show of hand, members, can I get an indication that we support the recommendation as provided in paragraph 13? I do support. Thank you, Mr. Gumede. Thank you, Ms. Maseti. Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. We will then move on to our next item, which is under the petroleum pipeline regulations, item 7. Ms. Mnyebudi, I take it you will introduce the item for us, otherwise direct us in terms of who is going to lead the presentation to the committee. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning to the members and colleagues. This item will be presented by Ms. Mavije. She will just highlight what we took into consideration in the processing and the analysis of the application, including the final recommendations as well. Through you, Chair, Ms. Mavije may come in. Thank you.
Thank you. You may come in, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Thank you, Ms. Munyawudi. Oryx Gas has applied for the amendment of its license conditions issued for the operation of a petroleum storage facility in Shamdo, Gauteng Province. Oryx Gas is seeking to rectify its currently licensed design capacity of 580 cubic meters to its actual capacity of 380 cubic meters. Chair, this discrepancy was noted at a site inspection that was conducted by the energy regulator at this facility in November 2022. And this is where Oryx Gas was advised to apply for this amendment. It should also be noted that its construction and operation licenses were processed jointly and issued, both issued around the same time in April 2014. However, there were changes during the construction phases. which led to the construction of a total design capacity of 380 cubic meters at the facilities instead of the 580 cubic meters that was licensed. Therefore, further details are provided in paragraphs 15 to 23 of the RFD. And further, it is recommended on page 6 of 7 that the REC considers and approves Oryx Gas application for the amendment of its license conditions issued for the operation of a petroleum storage facility in Shamdo, Gauteng province, seeking to rectify its currently total design capacity of 580 cubic meters to reflect its actual installed design capacity of 380 cubic meters in line with the findings of the site inspection conducted in November 2022, the decision and reasons for decision document attached here to as Annexure 1, and the addendum to the license conditions attached here to as Annexure 2. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Ms. Mabete. Members, any questions or issues of clarity on this submission? I don't seem to be seeing any hand from members. It means then the submission was very clear, Ms. Mabute. I will then request members that we go to the recommendations which are on paragraph 22 on page 6. And the recommendations are that the REC is to consider and approve the Oryx Gas application for the amendment of its license issued for the operation of a petroleum storage facility in Chambo, Gauteng. The amendment is to rectify its current license in terms of the total storage design capacity of 580 cubic meters to reflect its actual installed design capacity of 380 cubic meters, in line with the findings that were done by NERSA during the site inspection on the 22nd of November 2022, and to approve the decision and reasons for decision document attached here as Annexure 1, and as well as the addendum to the license condition of the said applicant, which is attached as Annexure 2. Members, by show of hand, can I get an indication that you do support the approval? Thank you, Mr. Mkhize. Thank you, Ms. Maseti. I do support, and thanks, Mr. Gumede. On that note, then Ms. Munyebuji will move on to the next item that is also under the PPR. Over to you, and you can guide as to who is going to be assisting us to go through this submission. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. This item will be presented by Mr. Lukele, but this is one of our standard submissions where determinations on whether licensing in terms of the Petroleum Pipelines Act is required or not. Mr. Lukele will highlight the requests made during this time and the findings leading to the recommendations. Again, through you, Chair, Mr. Lukele may come in. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, and good morning, everyone. The purpose of this submission is to request the REC to approve that certain storage facilities do not require licensing as provided for by Section 15, subsection 2A of the Petroleum Pipelines Act of 2003, as well as the bulk storage determination made by the Energy Regulator on 26 May 2016. And the details of the storage facilities in question are provided from paragraph 23 of the submission. There are 5 facilities in total, with a combined design capacity ranging from 46 cubic meters to 184. And the owners of these facilities have completed and submitted to NERSA the required bulk storage verification forms. And the combined design capacity of each of the facilities is below the current bulk threshold of 1,500 cubic meters for petroleum products, excluding LPG, and are therefore recommended to be excluded from licensing. The recommendations are on page 14 in paragraph 61, in which it's recommended that the REC approves that the 5 storage facilities listed therein do not require licensing. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Bukele. Members, any questions or issues of clarity on this submission? I don't see any hand. In the absence of any hand from members, I will request that we go on then to the recommendation. As indicated, this is one of our standard submission that we normally get from the PPR division. The recommendations are on page 14, the green stamped page 14, paragraph 61, and the recommendation are that the REC approves that the following storage facilities do not require licensing in terms of the Petroleum Pipelines Act of 2003. And for the record, I'll read these facilities. The first one is Diesel Go Trading Services, PTY Ltd. Diesel Go Trading Services existing storage facility in 20 KZN of 184 cubic meters. The second one is Imo Energy Pty Ltd's existing storage facility in Niger, Gauteng, 46 cubic meters. And the third one is Jigzon Trading Pty Ltd proposed storage facility in Philippi, Cape Town Farms, Western Cape, and the size there is 75 cubic meters. The fourth facility is Mtanga Bulk Carriers Pty Ltd's existing storage facility in Farm Odedorp, Northwest Province, and it's 69 cubic meters. And the fifth facility is Ubuntu Petroleum Pipeline Pty Ltd. And the Ubuntu Gas Petroleum Pipeline Pty Ltd's proposed storage facility in Germiston, Gauteng, and it's 55 cubic meters. And the sixth facility is from Ubuntu Gas Petroleum Pty Ltd. Is proposed storage facility in Mahikeng and the Northwest, and the capacity is 55 cubic meters. Members, by show of hand, can I get an indication that you support that these storage facilities do not require the licensing in terms of the PPA of 2003? Thank you, Ms. Maseti. Mr. Kumete, Mr. Mkize, I also support the recommendation. On that note, we have then come to the end of our open session of the meeting. Let me take this opportunity to thank the members and members of the public, our stakeholders, interested and affected parties. We have come to the end of our REC meeting number 354, and we will then be proceeding with the closed session of our meeting. Thank you very much for your attendance. And Mr. Mateja,